Some communities in Queensland's coal-rich Bowen Basin say their towns are being starved of flow-on revenue as thousands of workers fly in and fly out. The rotating shifts used by the mines results in a large chunk of the area's wages being spent outside of the immediate region. Locals say a two-speed economy now exists, with the winners clearly outpacing the losers. The issues surrounding so-called FIFO workers are currently the subject of a federal government inquiry. Amy Bainbridge reports from Moranbah in the Bowen Basin.
Australia is in the grip of a mining boom, but not everyone here in the Bowen Basin is sharing the spoils. Moranbah was built in the 1970s to service mines in the area. The population has exploded as the number of coal mines has grown. Sandra and Owen Wallace moved here 32 years ago to work for mining companies.
Well, it's gone from a small mining town of about 4,000 people to a rather large mining town of about 10 to 11,000 people now. The smaller town was more community-minded. Because of the drive-in, drive-out and the fly-in, fly-out, the locals actually are lesser in number. So it's a lot harder to mix with people.
Moranbah has an unemployment rate of just 1%, but that also means local businesses are struggling to find workers.
It's the mining wages. We can't compete. They do long hours. We don't do, obviously, the hours they do. But, yeah, we can't compete against their wage. There's just no way. And everyone wants to go to the mines.
Yeah, it's definitely a two-speed economy. You know, we've got the high wages within the mining industry, and then we have the average wage, like council wages or service industry wages, and we can't compete with the remuneration packages they have in the mining industry.
Those big packages have been snapped up by an army of around 7,000 fly-in, fly-out and drive-in, drive-out workers commuting from Brisbane or centres like Mackay and the Sunshine Coast. The so-called FIFOs and DIDOs mostly work 12-hour shifts and have little time to spend money in town. And the influx has sent rental costs soaring.
I can't subsidise the rent of my staff. Well, I haven't got any staff because we can't get any, but you know, I can't afford to subsidise the rent at $1,500, $2,000 a week. You know, I don't pay them that much.
Some homes fetch over $3,000 per week in rent, and 3 and 4 bedroom family homes are selling for around $1 million.
This property went under contract a few weeks ago. It's now unconditional and it's due to settle on Monday. The contract price is $920,000, which was the asking price. So we're finding that not a lot of properties are even having to negotiate. This property is rented at $3,200 a week, and that's secured for 2 years, which started in February. The home consists of 4 bedrooms. The main has an ensuite. It's fully air conditioned throughout. It's about 7 years old. There's a big colorbond shed at the back as well.
And you were telling me before that you sold a house across the road. Can you tell me about that? It's just over this way, isn't it?
Yes, probably this time last year, so 12 months ago, the house across the road sold for $680,000. Very, very similar style home. The only difference is that one doesn't have a shed. So $920 for this one now, which does have a shed. So there's quite a big difference there.
Mining companies are building furiously to house their commuting workforce. 7,000 camp rooms or dongas have sprung up in Moranbah. Mining companies more glamorously call them single-person villas, and there are plans for another 6,000.
We spend about $30 million a year on third-party rents for our employees in this part of the region. So again, that's part of the sort of the economic contribution that we make to the region. But at the sort of rentals that we've seen in recent times, we can't justify putting new employees into those sorts of rental arrangements. So we're right at the moment prioritising our new builds and the refurbishment of our existing housing to people who are coming off leases that are expiring.
They've land banked plenty of land for themselves, but you know, if you don't work for the mine, then you can't get. You know, there's just no land here.
This crane in the centre of Moranbah is an indication of how the town is desperately trying to catch up with the mining boom. Developers here are now building up rather than out because the land surrounding the town is taken up by mining leases.
It's been a while coming because people have been used to the traditional big backyard, 4-bedroom home or 3-bedroom home. So now that we've got people that are actually investing in that space, I think we'll probably see a little bit more of it.
Local MP Shane Canute says governments are happy to milk the area for mining revenue, but are loath to return it.
What we're seeing is over $1 billion of gross revenue coming out of this region, but we're receiving the crumbs in return. What we want is affordable accommodation. We want, medical services. We want, to see doctors, nurses, people in a situation where now we've got such a rich area, but are forced to go to Mackay or Rockhampton just to receive medical services.
There is a lot of royalty that goes out of this region into state government, so the state government is the beneficiary from that royalty, and we'd like to see our fair share back into the Isaac Regional Council area.
Sandra and Owen Wallace say the community feel of Moranbah isn't completely gone and they've resisted selling their house for big money.
That's the a choice we have made, simply because we like the lifestyle here. It's hassle-free, very quiet town usually.
I can drive from one side of town to the other in 5 minutes. I can go to the dump in 2.
And the dump's still free.
The federal inquiry into Australia's fly-in, fly-out workforce is due to report back later this year. Amy Bainbridge, Lateline.